welcome back to Tom's World Scale Model Series. In this episode, we unbox Trumpeter's 1/35th scale AVGP Grizzly. If you enjoy programming on scale modeling, then show your support by subscribing to this channel. Leave us a comment, like, dislike, or share the video with friends. Clicking the notification bell gives you alerts when we post new content. Or visit the channel Tom's World for a friendly visit for a complete list of all our videos. With the introduction of the tank in World War I, mobility became the decisive factor in modern ground warfare. To keep up with the tanks, infantry transports emerged. These provided off-road capability and a measure of armor protection for supporting troops. Tracks gave way to all-wheel configurations post-World War II, and one such vehicle is the AVGP Grizzly. Commissioned in the 1970s by the Canadian Army, this stout amphibian saw UN service in Somalia and Yugoslavia. Stay with us as we explore Trumpeter's fine-scale representation of the grizzled little warrior that kept Canadian troops on the move in their peacekeeping missions. Hey fellas, welcome back, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and visit with me again today. Well, we've got another little ditty from Trumpeter. This is going to be the Canadian AVGP Grizzly late version. It's going to be kit number 1505, released in 2012 as a rebox with updated and new parts. Sells for 30 Canadian or $23.50 US dollars today. So we're just going to put up the box dimensions real quick so you get a sense of how big the packaging actually is. So first thing we want to take note of is that there is a disclaimer that the model is not exactly as depicted on the box top. For example, we've got a crewman commander there, we've got a couple of stowage items, some tarpaulins there, as well as this kind of funky tie-off arrangement for the antennas, and unfortunately none of that is in the box. So the AVGP, sometimes known as LAV-1, the Armored Vehicle General Purpose, that was a project in the late 70s in Canada, and they built a series of 3 vehicles domestically for the Canadian Armed Forces. We'll have a look at the other 2 variants when we look at the Trumpeter product line, but this particular one is the Grizzly. It's an APC, an armored personnel carrier, and it is distinguishable by a smaller turret, and it's got the twin machine guns there. We can see it's got the 12.7mm, or sometimes better known as the 50 cal, and a smaller supporting gun there of 7.62mm. So there it is. Had a crew of 3, the commander, gunner, and driver, and it carried 6 troops. It was a 6x6, 2 front wheels only steered. And it wasn't amphibian, although the Canadian Army tended not to use that feature. I think they disabled it and took the propellers off. So there it is. Now if we look closely, it's also got the S4 insignia, and that actually does come on the decal sheet in the kit. And the S4 was a stabilization force. Those were the UN forces that went over during the Yugoslav war during the 90s to do peacekeeping. Story goes that the Canadian Armed Forces actually lost one of their vehicles. It was captured by the Bosnia. So a little bit of an intrigue here with our Grizzly. So there it is. And a quick look around the box. Well, on this side we just have your standard box art. It's the same opposite. On this side we've got a little bit of a write-up, which is pretty standard, and one illustration just head on there just so we get a sense of what it looks like, and our little P sheet is illustrated there. And on the flip side we've just got one single side view of the vehicle, and that's probably it on that side. Alright, so there it is. Now again, before we dig into the box, let's take just a couple minutes and have a look at the Trumpeter product line, and we'll have a little bit more of a look at the AVGP line. 3 manufacturers have released kits of the AVGP. Hobbyfan has this single product. Kit number HF045, released sometime after 2010. This is a resin cast kit of the Husky maintenance vehicle. The kit isn't widely available, and information on its contents is practically non-existent. Although we did find 2 online sources, eBay and Legends Toys and Hobbies out of California. The kit's price of $150 to $170 US plus shipping makes this a rather expensive alternative. Best Value Models released 3 boxings between 2000 and 2010. Information is also scant on these releases, and we weren't even able to find a local distributor. These kits may either be discontinued or are only available in Europe or Asia. But no need to despair, since Trumpeter has us covered with an impressive line of fine boxings with 2 versions of each variant, and these kits are available everywhere. The Husky variant is depicted in kits 1503 and 1506, released in 2013. These boxings share many of the same sprues as our Grizzly Review kit, but differ in hull pieces, PE frets, decal sheets, and other slight variant-specific parts such as the tires and crane. The Cougar variant of the AVGP is represented in two versions, kits 1501 and 1504, released in 2011 and 2012 respectively. This is the Fire Support APC variant, and both kits come with a turned metal barrel scaled to the 76mm howitzer. These kits also share many of the same sprues as our sample kit, but differ in decals, turret pieces, and PE. Kit 1504, the improved version, also comes with beautiful Gypsy Rack PE parts. The final two releases, the Grizzlies, depict the machine gun armed APC version. Those are kits 1502 and 1505, released in 2011 and 2012 respectively. These two kits are nearly identical, with differing tires and decals being the only distinguishing features. Trumpeter has done a fantastic job of representing the full line of AVGP variants. All these kits are fine examples of modern releases, with crisply molded and highly detailed parts, clear instructions, value-adding clear parts, photo edge, and turned metal barrels in the Cougar boxings. All this, not to mention the $30 Canadian price tag, makes this kit ideal for our AVGP build project. Alright, so let's dig into the box. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's like Christmas in April. Now, if you do purchase this kit, it might not be packed the same way because I do rummage through these things before shooting the video. But here it is. So 220 pieces according to the box top. One clear sprue, we've got one little PE tree, we've got two hull pieces, 7 tires, and our decal sheet, and of course our instructions, and well, a color chart as well. So let me just get everything out here and we'll have a look. So just like our Trumpeter KV1 kit, this kit's got the exact same paperwork. It's got the black and white color booklet instructions and this full color guide, which gives us an idea of the paint scheme. Just got the paint scheme for the single S-Force, which is just the green, but I think we're probably going to give this guy some black stripes. We do have a color translation chart for different manufacturers, although if we look closely, that Tamiya XF20, that is not green, that's gray, so I'm not sure what's up with that. A couple other things, we've got no color translation for the purple on the Commander's Coppola there. So we'll have to kind of come up with a color for that. And then we also have our license plates on this if we look closely. So don't go ahead and throw this away because your license plates are not on the decal sheet. Alright, so here are the instructions. So just a black and white booklet like our KV1 here. If you're sort of a beginner, have a little read and just familiarize yourself with the little symbols. That really does help to build a model. Sprue map, which is nice, obligatory, helps us to find parts. Here we're just getting our wheels together. And what we're going to see on this kit is that there's very few large structures. There's a lot of detailing work in this. We're going to see that right away. Well, it's a 6x6, so we get lots of differentials here. And right away we can see that we're drilling holes and filling pieces and removing parts off the body. So that's going to be a bit of a theme throughout this. Not a whole lot of it, but we don't see it on all kits. But I think it's just because there's the more than one variation on this kit, the variants. So here again, we're just building up more of the suspension work. It does look like this vehicle is torsion bar suspension. They're the swing arms and these brackets that cover the torsion bar assembly. And then it does have shock absorbers, but the vehicle weighs about 11 tons. So these shock absorbers are just going to be to stabilize the suspension more or less. Again, more detail going down some of the storage bins here, and we do see a lot of small parts. And this kit's all about detailing. There's very few big structures. Again, and we're all up to step 4 here, and we're still building up the suspension. So a lot of detail. It's going to look fantastic underneath. I do appreciate the fact that the windshield wiper is a separate piece. Much easier to paint than when it's cast solid on the clear part. Here again, drilling some more holes on the inside. And here we're just clagging on more detail. And again, a lot of small parts. We do see some PE here, well down here anyways, we'll see that in a second. But you can see a lot of little detailing parts. This is what this kit's all about, is lots and lots of little details. A little jerry can there. We do see that the engine covers are separate pieces, so I guess we could, mold those open. But there is no interior in this kit, so we're going to probably button it up. But here's a little bit of PE for the brush guards on the lights. There's the wire cutter so it doesn't obviously decapitate the driver, but we're not going to play guess the parts, but just kind of a couple of interesting parts on the kit. Here the antennas are going in. The antennas do come in the kit, as we'll see. There's the muffler shroud, but I think we're going to discard these antennas and go with that little sort of crisscrossy arrangement that we had on the box there. Here's the rear going down, some more holes being drilled. Again, small parts. And the rear again. I guess we could pose the doors open, but again, the kit has no interior, so we'll probably have to button it up. And here we're just putting on the rear end of it where the troops go in. And we're just making the top and bottom here. Here are the guns. They're not metal barrels, but they are slide molded. There's the 50 and I think it's a 7.62. And here we're just making up the turret. And this little turret reminds me of those World War II German SDKFZ 222s. Kind of cool there. And then here we're just doing the commander's periscopes, and we can see no color translation, whereas we do actually have one color translation just going back here for one of the periscopes anyways. That's not on that color chart, but well, here it is there. It's telling us clear blue and only Mr. Hobby color, so, but not for the commander's vision ports. We'll have to kind of guess at that red color. A little bit of PE here. And here we're just finishing up the cupola. And this little bracket here for the spare tire, and yeah, this is where that little bit of copper wire we'll see what that's for, but it's just a spacer for the spare tire holder. So again, some of the details going in. Well, there's the bottom, just the finishing touches, and finally the turret goes on, and that's it. So not too complicated. So starting off with a little some of the sundries here, a little decal sheet. We get markings for a single vehicle. The decals look great. The red is quite nice on the Canadian flags, and they're nice and sharp. Just markings for a single vehicle, you know, various labeling and such, and there's the S4 insignia. And if I catch it in the light, we can see that all those letters are surrounded by carrier film. Usually not a big deal, but we might want to cut those a little closer to the ink. So there that is, quite nice. And we do get this nice little PE sheet, just enough to give us a flavor of working with PE. Some brush cards for the lights, and I believe that's a little flap for the commander's cupola vision port, so there those are. And we get a little strip of this copper wire just for those standoffs on the spare tire. I'm not sure why they give us this. We could have did this out of plastic, even stretch sprue or dimensional sprue, but well, there it is. And here's our tires. We do get 7 of these. They are rubber. They're quite pliable. I know people stiffen them up by usually stuffing some tissue paper inside them. So that's an issue. Now, I don't like rubber tires because there is a seam. Now, thank goodness they didn't run it down the middle of it. It's off to the side. But usually those seams don't sand off very well, and they don't cut off very well. So we'll have to see how that is. But otherwise, the detail is very good. They look very good, just like the real thing. And little bulges on the side and everything. So fantastic. So a quick look at the upper hull. The detail is absolutely fantastic. It's about 7 inches long, 18 centimeters, give you a sense of how big it is. I'll cut a bit closer here to get some really close-up shots, but we've got weld beads all over it, which is fantastic. It's very crisp. Detail is excellent, and as I say, no flash like that Trumpeter KV1 kit, so these molds probably aren't getting as much of a workout. So there's the hull piece, very nice. So I am seeing that Trumpeter did wrap some of the more delicate parts inside foam inside the plastic bag, so that's excellent because that'll protect those really delicate parts. So we're not going to look at all the sprues, but just maybe a little bit of a sampling just to give an idea, and you can see the detail is fantastic. Now there is not any, well, I'm not going to say any flash, because I did see a little bit on some round parts, but that's very common. But we can see the parts are very delicate. The detail is superb. I mean, for a kit that's priced around $30, it's absolutely great. And we can see that there is a lot of small parts, but you know, look at the detail on that. Those are the differential covers. We can actually see the nuts and bolts on that, so that is absolutely fantastic. And those are some of the really delicate little parts that are covered in additional foam there, so that's good. And there's a little stab bar for the steering. We're not going to play guess the parts, but just to give you a sense of what the molding is like and what the sculpting is like. And again, very crisp molding. Now, I did want to show some of this hub detail. Just look at that. That is about as fine as you can get in styrene molding. I mean, those wheel hubs, look at the little bolts. I mean, compared to my finger, look at the size of that. Absolutely fantastic. Very crisp, very clean. Great detail. So here's our clear sprue. We've got pretty much everything we need for all our periscopes, our headlights, our tail lights. There's a driver's windshield, and I really appreciate these clear parts. Now we will have to probably, they're not tinted, obviously you can see, so we'll have to probably spray some of these with some transparent blue, green, maybe some of that purple color. So, but I do appreciate for a fairly low price kit that you get all this clear plastic, so that's fantastic. And here again, this little sprue tree's got some great examples of the casting. Look at those little guards on the lights. That looks fantastic. And that's actually cast in styrene, so very nice. And there are the mirrors. And if we look at the back of the mirrors, look at how subtle that detail is. You can just barely see it, but it's fantastic. So very, very good. I don't see too much flash around, well, very, very little, in fact. And so here's some more, just to give you an idea of how delicate some of the parts are. You know, we'll have to be careful even just removing these off the sprue, but a lot of great detail on here. And if you look at that cap, I mean, it just looks fantastic. And just moving on to another sprue again, very, very nice detail. Look at the detail on those lights. And here on the side of these lights, look at that. That is fantastic. And some jerry can details, some of the little grab handles there. There's lots of little bits again on this kit. This is all about detailing this kit here. The structure is only 3 pieces, and the rest of it are these delicate small parts. There's the cutter for the barbed wire. And there's your shovel, just to give a sense of what the detail looks like. Look at the little attaching link there. It looks great, absolutely fantastic. And look at how small these parts are. Gee, that's going to be a little bit of work there. There's some antennas. They look great. Look at the spring detail on the bottom. Now, those were wrapped in foam, which is nice. I don't think we're going to use them, but it's nice that they're included in the kit. Usually you have to make them yourself, but that's okay. And here are the guns. Let's see here. That's the 50 there and the 7.62. And they are slide molded. We can see there, so there's no need to do any drilling. So very nice. But I did want to show the detail on the Commander Coppola. It looks great. Look at the detail on that. Absolutely fantastic. And that'll do it for this episode. Check back soon for part 2 as we undertake construction of this kit. In the meantime, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, dislike, or just grumble in the comments, or visit the channel Tom's World and check out all our educational and entertaining videos. Until next time, keep the peace, stay well, and all the best.